Hello, hello, Jerry Beal here again, and to remind you again that my YouTube is not working. The video portion isn't working, and so I'd rather people just listen to what I'm saying anyway. Just relax in a chair, and you don't have to sit and watch the screen. This is about a legal petition I plan to file when I start to present the materials that you might have already heard some about if you've been watching any of the YouTube presentations that I've made. I have tried, believe me, I have tried more than 230 times. That number is a number that's at least that many times I've tried to, with various legal people as well as traditionally educated psychologists, especially clinical psychologists, to get some kind of back and forth with what could be called humanity's greatest social blunder. And if the glass is half full, it would be called humanity's greatest social understanding or discovery. You know, in fact, I match it with Copernicus, who corrected the model of the universe and instead of putting the Earth at the center, he's the one that put the sun at the center, and then everything worked. All the rotating worked smoothly and evenly after that, and that's what I compare this to in the mental world. That if we correct our minds, then our whole lives, all of our lives, individually and collectively, will fall into place, as Lao Tzu said. If you correct your mind, the rest of your life will fall into place. Anyway, I better stick to what I'm saying here. I have tried more than 230 times with various legal people as well as traditionally educated psychologists to get some kind of back and forth with what could be called humanity's greatest social blunder. And believe you me, there has never been a human blunder to match this one. It's actually quite easy to notice the human mistake. It's easy to notice the human mistake, but when it's pointed out, especially when it's pointed out by someone who has studied these issues for the 25 passionate years I have done so, but it's the extension of this human mistake that demonstrates just how dangerous it has been and always will be. This human mistake is incredibly dangerous. That's to say the least. Thus, I want to ask the Sierra Club of Sedona, I better read it. Thus, I want to ask the Sierra Club of Sedona to understand enough of what I'm putting forth in my videos to support me and back me when I go down to Prescott to file a legal petition to be heard. I live in Cottonwood right now. I'm not even asking them to agree with me. I want them to listen to the videos and want to talk with them about it, but I'm not asking them to agree with me, but to help me make it all but impossible for Yavapai County Attorney Sheila Polk to refuse to deal with the materials I'm putting forth. I've already asked and even begged for some kind of back and forth on the materials. Polk and others in the legal system have already been sent. I've already sent them materials, but I keep getting ignored every time I send my materials to them. All they do is ignore it. It would be like the people in the Sierra Club would say to Sheila Polk, if you don't agree with how Jerry Beal is explaining these issues, then for God's sakes, just tell him how he has things incorrect. And if the facts and truth prove that he's incorrect about things, then that would be the end of pursuing things any further. But at least let him have his say, and let's have your reply. That's what I'm asking the Sierra Club to back me in saying, with a statement that way, to make it all but impossible for her to have to at least address the petition. And so here's the legal petition that I plan to send. It might be modified somewhat, but it's called Legal Petition to be Heard to Sheila Polk, Yavapai County Attorney, Yavapai County, Arizona Attorney. as both your constituent and your employer, and representing human truth, which is only human interpretations are able to cause human feelings and human experiences. That's the human truth, and I'm representing human truth. I order you to cease and desist conducting all nonviolent, non-forcing human sexual activity trials. They are to be held up from continuing on pending you, as county attorney, as well as the public defender, Dean Trebesh, as well as Judge Thomas Lindbergh and others who judge in these kinds of trials, pending all of you finally finding out what the hell is causing what when it comes to human feelings and human experiences. How dare you conduct these often frantic trials when you don't even know the cause of people's feelings and experiences? How dare you conduct these often frantic trials when you don't even know the cause of people's feelings and experiences? And I promise you that if you do know the cause of people's feelings and experiences, you're sure not being congruent when you hold these trials where people's homes, people's families, and people's lives are torn apart and broken relationships always follow. As such, and by the way, the disempowering of people. Everybody becomes disempowered in these trials, because it's a really dramatic demonstration of a lie that the world is affecting us. That's what it is. These trials are a really dramatic demonstration of that lie. The world is affecting, what happens in the world affects our feelings and experiences, and it's not true at all. As such trials have been conducted in the past, you as the prosecution are not proving cause in these kinds of trials, and evidently Dean Trebesh, as the public defender and on behalf of his clients, he must be too stupid, and he deserves to be told that too. I've already sent materials to him as well, and he deserves to be said, talked that way about. He must be too stupid to realize that you are not proving cause in these trials. Thus, he is certainly not serving his client's best interests, and even more. It's even more on the supposed victim side. You are absolutely, Sheila Polk, you are absolutely not serving the best interests of the supposed victims. You're disempowering them is what you're doing. If those supposed victims really are victims of an outside source, which you legally claim they are, then they have to be victims as a matter of fact. Those people have to be victims as a matter of fact. But as things are now, they're all but forced to play the victim roles as a matter of interpretation. And that means all this can only be game playing or role playing, if you prefer that. That's all of this is game playing and role playing. As such, trials have been conducted in the past. The supposed perpetrators are being charged and convicted of what they cannot cause, and that is the resulting problematic feelings and problematic feeling experiences the supposed victims are having because they've been so seriously misled on what really is causing those often highly problematic feelings and highly problematic experiences that they're having, and probably will continue to have to one degree or another for the rest of their lives. Be aware that human truth will not allow you to be conducting these kinds of trials while going into them with, and while you're holding the false notion that the supposed victim was involved in a problematic event or problematic events. That's how you go into trial, that the supposed victim was involved in a problematic event or problematic events. No. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth demands that they were involved in one or more sexual events. but they were not problematic events. And remember, I'm talking about nonviolent and non-forcing sexual events. Okay, and then the next subtitle here, Yavapai County clinical psychologists to be put on house arrest. Yavapai County clinical psychologists to be put on house arrest. You think I'm crazy, but I'm not. They are to be put on house arrest. I, and still representing Human Truth, further order traditionally educated clinical psychologists to be put on house arrest and not be allowed to do their therapies with such vulnerable ones as most of these supposed victims and supposed perpetrators are. I'm sure if you ask these apparent victims and apparent perpetrators, they would say they have well enough problem seekers and troublemakers in their lives already, without a therapist going along with all those false notions that cause so much havoc in all of our lives, and with the only goal to be less agonized and less anguished. Do you realize that? Nobody ever recovers from these sexual situations. Nobody does. Clear to the end of their lives, they carry it. Nobody ever recovers. They might be less agonized and less anguished, and that's because we're unable to question the reality of a problem. And that gets explained in other parts. I'm off script here just a little bit. But okay, now I'm back onto the thing. I further order that both supposed perpetrators and supposed victims be offered the psychology and therapy of personal honesty and personal responsibility. I'll say that again. I further order that both supposed perpetrators and supposed victims be offered the psychology and therapy of personal honesty and personal responsibility, so that neither of them have to go through their lives agonizing and anguishing over all the lies and illusions that they have had to try and endure up to this new psychological offering. What is this new psychological offering? What is the psychology and therapy of personal honesty and personal responsibility? It's this, and it's simply this. It doesn't matter at all because it can't matter at all. And then that relationship gets explained out to them. I can explain it, and I know how. I'm the one that came up with the psychology of personal honesty and personal responsibility, and in a nutshell, that's it. It doesn't matter because it can't matter. Now, how's that for effective therapy? You see, this therapy allows people to just dismiss the whole thing. They don't even, they go through their lives, people who go through with this therapy don't have any anguish at all. It's gone. Because it doesn't matter, because it can't matter, and when you explain that to them, their mind will pick it up from there, and they can find out the truth of all this just by extending it in their mind. As Jesus said, you will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. He was talking about these very matters. Affect self, cause self. That's why the born-again situation, Affect self, cause self. We're pretending the roles of an affect self when we're really the cause. Go figure. How is it that the very same identical sexual activities, the very same ones that billions of human beings delight so much in doing, both homosexual and heterosexual activities, that billions of human beings delight so much in doing, and as often as they can, are supposed to be so highly problematic for others who simply do them a different way, or because they're under the age of 18. Did you get that? How is it? That it's such a delight for some people, and then it's supposed to be such a disaster if you're under the age of 18. Why haven't you put some real context to all this troublemaking you're so deeply involved in, Sheila Polk and the rest of you legal people? Why haven't you put some context to this? And finally, who really are the real sex offenders here? Those who participate, or those who, without facts or truth, that would be you, judge and accuse. Who are the real sex offenders here? As Epictetus put it nearly 20 centuries ago, people's minds are not disturbed by events, but by their own judgments on events. And here you are, telling and explaining what a highly problematic situation this is, and the poor child has been so offended, and all their innocence has been stolen, they've been profoundly violated. Oh my God, and here's the truth that Epictetus realized, and it's experiential, by the way. People's minds are not disturbed by events. That means people's minds are not disturbed by any sexual events at all. Non-violent, non-forcing sexual events. But their minds are disturbed by these idiots, all the idiots around us, which would include almost everybody in the world, telling people under the age of 18 and others that, oh my God, you've been so profoundly violated and you're such a victim. Why don't you allow that factual and experiential knowledge to be admitted in court? I'll answer the question. It's because that kind of knowledge exposes the passive and aggressive manipulating game of pretenses that's going on so frantically and so consistently that we don't even take the time to question the reality of a problem. Whoever does that? And of course, if you question the reality of a problem, and its effects cannot be cured because the problem is not real, and that's why traditionally educated clinical psychologists suck at their jobs so much. They don't really help people because those problems are not real. They're thinking in terms of problematic conditions and problematic events instead of problematic interpretations about anything at all. That's the mix-up. Thus, the real sex offenders are those who judge and accuse when they don't know what the hell is causing what when it comes to human feelings and human experiences. I further order you and those involved to put the following paraphrase from a non-traditional psychological masterpiece called A Course in Miracles. I order you to put this factual paraphrase in your mind to not just believe, but to experience as the truth. Here's the paraphrase from A Course in Miracles. I call this part of it the victim consciousness and unconscious conspiracy. The victim consciousness and unconscious conspiracy. In a victim sense, here's the paraphrase. This is really enlightening. If you get this, okay, here it is. In a victim sense, it isn't what someone else did to you that's bothering you now. You don't believe that, do you? Absolutely, you don't believe that. You think what somebody else did to you is bothering you now, and it will continue to bother you. I better read it here. In a victim sense, it isn't what someone else did to you that's bothering you now. Indeed, it's never what someone else did to you that's bothering you now. And if the deed was done 10 years ago or 10 seconds ago, it's still the same situation. No. Instead of you being bothered by what they did to you, you're really being bothered by what you're doing to them. Hello? No. Instead of you being bothered by what they did to you, you're really being bothered by what you're doing to them. And you see, but the point, I'm off script here, the point is this is so empowering. This is so personally empowering because when you can just change your mind about things and you change your experience, you see. No. Instead of you being bothered by what they did to you, you're really being bothered by what you're doing to them. And so what is it that you're doing to them where you're thinking in terms of them victimizing you? It's this. Right now, in your own mind and at your own choosing, right now, in your own mind and at your own choosing, you're role-playing. You're role-playing. You're role-playing not the past in the present. No, you're not doing that. You're not role-playing the past in the present, but you are role-playing your own defining mind context about the past and the present, your own beliefs and interpretations about the past and the present. And they're, by the way, in these cases, they're highly problematic. By giving them a role of perpetrator, and you're giving yourself a role of victim. See, that's what's happening in your mind right now. You're giving them a role of perpetrator, and you're giving yourself a role of victim. And then you're playing those roles, looping them over and over again, all the while blaming them for what only you can do to yourself. Again, you're role-playing these roles, looping them over and over again, all the while blaming them for what only you can do to yourself. No outside source is able to give you your own experiences of life. But it is your privilege to be honest and truthful with your own personal truth that provides your own personal power to experience anything that comes along in your life, any way you choose to interpret, and thus experience anything that comes along in your life. And that's the end of the paraphrase. No outside source is able to give you your own experiences of life, but it is your privilege to be honest and truthful with your own personal truth. Your own personal truth is I experience anything by how I interpret anything, and that provides your own personal power, to experience anything that comes along in your life any way you choose to interpret, and thus experience anything that comes along in your life. And when the condition is, and it certainly is, that events aren't causing experiences anyway, then any kinds of events that don't include the care and keeping of bodies are to be interpreted non-problematically if you are honest and responsible. And that's what, if you correct your mind, the rest of your life falls into place. You just go through your life saying, this doesn't matter, that doesn't matter, this doesn't matter, that doesn't matter. And if I were in court in these sex cases and everything, that's what I would explain to the whole court and the judge and everybody else. These things can't matter on their own, and so they can't matter at all. All this victim bullshit that's going on is just ruining our lives. P.S. I have no way to, this is me after the legal petition, I have no way to enforce these demands, and I will never be violent, nor will I ever break the law in these endeavors. I want to make sure that is, I don't have any way to enforce these demands, and I won't break the law. I want to make sure that happens so that the damn police don't come over to my place and plant some drugs in my place and try to get rid of me because I'm, sand in the machinery here. But in the past, I have sent you, I'm still talking to them, I have sent you various materials that the three of you, Sheila Polk, Dean Trebesh, and Judge Lindbergh, keep ignoring. I once phoned to talk with Judge Thomas Lindbergh about these matters, but Martha, his assistant, wouldn't let me talk with him, and she just said, well, we just don't agree with you. When I asked, you disagree with me how? In what ways? With what contexts? And she just repeated, well, we just don't agree with you, and that's that. Well, that's that, you see. So that's why I'm asking. So it has come to this legal petition to be heard. I know that by law you are required to examine the legal petition to be heard to see if the content and context, to check the content and context to find out if the merits of the petition warrant a legal hearing. Boy, if this doesn't warrant it, I don't know what does. And if you think this petition is crazy, then put forth the facts and truth to support your judgments about it. That's all I've ever asked for, is a back and forth on it, is what I'm trying to tell you. You're at least obligated to do that. You're obligated by law to do that. And again, I'm not only your constituent, I'm your employer as well. And so that's the end of the petition. And again, as I said, I'm looking for the Sierra Club to back me up. Again, not to agree with everything I say, but to back me up and say, come on, Sheila Polk, this is a petition to be heard, so answer him. The one thing I'm trying to get is a discussion on this, and it will start I've already gone into that, but I have Social Evolution Institution, which I'm going to be introducing, that where we can start to use right-minded thinking in the world, starting even almost immediately after this takes place here. But at least, I'm not hard to get along with at all. I would love to get together with these legal people and even these psychologists and say, okay, where do we go from here? What is step number one? What is step number two? But by God, we're going to start taking some steps here. And if not, if I have it incorrect, then all that needs to be is pointed out to me, and then I'll just disappear. I will. I'll admit it, and I'll say, oh, well, I guess I didn't see that. I've been studying this for 25 years. But if there's something incorrect about what I'm talking about, and it shatters the whole thing, then that's what I'll realize that, and we'll go with that. So thanks a lot for listening to this, and I hope you listen to the others as well.